Hi everyone, this is Young from Advanced Property Strategies, and today I've got a dear friend of mine, Daryl Ray. How you going, Daryl?
Good, Young. How are you?
Excellent, mate. Excellent. So, today I get to interview Daryl, and one of his claims to fame is that by the age of 40, he was able to retire. I witnessed this personally. I've known Daryl for over 10 years now, when he was just a beginner in property, and how he just bought more and more and more property until one day he gave his job the flick. He used to be an electrician, and he was able to quit his job by 40. So I'll hand it over to Daryl. Daryl, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you were able to do it and what made you want to quit your job by the age of 40?
Well, I had before I had the vision of the retirement, the pension wasn't going to be there when I was retired. So I thought, well, I need to do something for myself. So I thought, well, do I rely on the pension or do I make something for myself? So I just thought, well, I'm going to have to do something for myself. So I just thought, well, this is the vehicle, I'm going to go through property and I'm going to go through there. So I started buying properties, and the first property I bought was about 9.5% return. So it basically paid for itself. And when I did that, I then paid that off in 2.5 years, the first house I bought. It was only a cheap house, and then from there I bought a second one, then a third one, then a fourth one. I just kept building momentum, and from there I just kept paying them down, my debts, and the more properties I get, the rents keep paying in, my wages keep paying in, and keep going up from there.
Yeah, so you're saying that initially you bought your first property, paid it down in the first 2 years, and then you had passive income from your property as well as active income from your job, and it was compounding, and the more property you bought, the more income you had to pay your properties down. Is that right?
That's
yeah.
correct.
So basically,
and the faster it went too.
Yeah, and the faster it went faster and faster, and obviously because you had more sources of income coming in and more properties, and then so why the age of 40? Why did you pick 40 and not 50 and not 60 and all that? Why that particular number?
Well, I didn't actually. I actually picked 45, but I got to the point where I wasn't working overtime at work, and I decided, well, I don't need to work anymore because I had enough income in my account. I had a year's wage sitting there, and I didn't need to. I wasn't going through my cash, my savings, so I actually had enough money to sit and go. I didn't need to work.
Yes.
So it had a balance there, and I went, right, this is good. I'm not going down in my savings, so then I didn't need to work. I just did the figures, and I spoke to a mate of mine, and I laid it out on the table to him and said, what do I do? He said, go for it.
Awesome.
Really
so, for people who are starting out now, some of people might say, Daryl bought well in the 90s or 2000 before the boom, before the prices went up. I reckon that's all a crock. But, because I saw Daryl go from zero to where he is now. And Daryl remembers me when we first met at a property investment company. And but my point in all that is, what advice would you give someone starting out right now, someone with zero experience, zero properties, and wanting to retire within the next 5 to 10 years? What would you say the first 2 or 3 key action steps would be for them? Well,
I would think you start out small. Don't start in a high negative geared position. Do it in if you have to do it in fairly neutral or a little bit negative geared, that's okay. But you want to be able to service that loan without going and doing more and more work for yourself. So the more passive you can get, the better. So and then start paying your loan down if you can. That might be doing other deals. It might be with your work, and then start paying that loan down, and then your income comes up, and your loan just keeps going, compounding downwards instead of upwards. Yeah, and it's going down, and you're not necessarily working any harder. It's because you've got multiple sources of income through your property. Yeah. And that's how I did it in the first place. I had 2 rents and my income, paying 1 loan off now instead of 2. Yeah. Instead of 1 loan. Yeah, so what you're saying is previously you had 1 loan, and normally what people do is they have 1 source of income, i.e. their rent, barely cover their interest, but you had a couple of sources of rental income with your work income, pay down that loan. So is that right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so now that you've been able to stop work for several years now, what do you see is the future for you in terms of deals and ventures, and what deals have you done recently? Because you bought your time back now.
Well, recently I've just done 6 townhouses developed. So we bought a block of land. we got it. We changed it from a approval of 5 townhouses to we changed that into 6, and then we've just built 6 townhouses. So that's just finished now, and I haven't got final figures, but we're getting close to. They're all rented out now, so
yeah,
we've chosen to. Well, it looks like we're going to keep them. So.
And so in my courses, I talk about no money down deals, and one of the things that you may notice about Daryl is obviously he retired by the age of 40 and he's got no job. So he's not unemployed, he's unemployable, you could say. And so he's doing this 6 townhouses without a job. So how did you fund it, Daryl? You know, I know you've got some equity and you use some of that, but how did you fund it without a job? Because most people, they need a job to be able to get lending from the bank.
Well, basically I had one house that was totally paid off, and I had it fully offset. So I've taken the money from that offset account, which basically works like a line of credit. And then I've got a joint venture partner on board, and I've used his and the rent that we're looking at getting for the townhouses for serviceability, and that way we can get the loan.
Awesome. So basically what Daryl said is he's found a joint venture partner, someone with a high paying income, and then combine that with the projected rental income of the property, and now that projected rental income is actually real, and you're getting more income than actually projected, aren't you?
Yes.
Now that the townhouses are finished.
Yes.
Yeah. So, this is an example of persistence pays and having a really simple strategy. I know oftentimes people come to my seminars, they want to do options, they want to do JVs, they want to do that stuff. And you know what? It is all exciting, and I've done all that, and I've done that many times. I've made a lot of money in property, but it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be up there in terms of difficulty. It can be pretty simple. Having a plan of maybe 5 to 10 properties over 5 to 10 years. Is that as simple as that, Daryl? Am I on the right track? Or?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They say boring works. Boring works.
Yeah.
And boring does work sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just the simple stuff that you just churn away and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Excellent.
Sure.
So Daryl, I really appreciate your time today, and I appreciate your friendship over the many years. And we've been fishing a few times. We've definitely had some adventures out on the water. And we're not going to be talking about those at this point in time, but maybe next time when you're around with us at a dinner with deal makers or a bus trip and we have a few beers, I'm sure Daryl and I will be able to share with you what we've been up to as mates on the side. So thanks, Daryl, and look forward to talking to you next time.
Thanks, Jan. Thank you.